Right, so welcome to the second panel of today's conference. We're focusing on a very important issue, the issue of borders, refugees, migration, and relations to Turkey. We're joined here by a distinguished panel who will help us understand what the issues are on the ground, but also the dynamics that are hidden behind the political developments. As a disclaimer to all those who had received an earlier version of the agenda, Mr. Öztürk Yılmaz, the Vice President of the Republican People's Party, unfortunately cannot be with us today, and this is due to the very dramatic turn of events that took place in the country, and he's expressed need to stay in the country and as the Progressive family is reassessing the situation. Nonetheless, we have a very interesting panel, as I said. Two very brief remarks, because I understand Dr. Shai has to leave urgently. I'm going to start with this. In the 2003 European Security Strategy, so the official document, the opening line was, "Europe has never been so prosperous, so secure, and so free." It is clear that this is not the case anymore. We have seen volatility, we have seen this state of flux, and in this state of flux in the Middle East, we have seen the issue of refugees and migration emerging as one of the most important factors. We have the war in Syria, the escalating atrocities in Aleppo, we have the continuing infighting, we have the continuing flows of people, of Syrian people who leave the country in their effort to find safer shores. We have the need to decouple the issue of refugee flows and security. We have the war in Syria, a war that shames the world as the key component in this landscape of volatility. But as we heard, we have other things. We have the collapse of US-Russian diplomacy. We have the tremendous burden that the Syrian war inter alia has put on the fragile balance in Lebanon. We have the collapse of the state apparatus in large swaths of the region, in Syria, but also in Yemen and parts of Iraq. We have the rise of Daesh and the need to compete or counter terrorism, not only militarily on the ground, but also to counter its normative appeal of violent extremism, and on this we heard a lot. We have Moscow's growing assertiveness in the region. We have Ankara's assertiveness in the region. Ankara is trying to seal off its border, since we're on the issue of borders, to seal off its border with Syria, being preoccupied with a cross-border Kurdish issue alongside Syria's northern border. We have the rapprochement between Turkey and Israel after years of no bilateral ties, and what this mending in ties means for the region and for Israel. We have Turkey's involvement in the refugee question, sometimes providing safe shelter to refugees, but sometimes trying to use it as a bargaining chip, with the EU-Turkey deal testing the tolerance of the European approach of principled pragmatism that has been put in place. And we have finally the shrinking space of internal and external developments within Turkey, and how this reflects on the way Turkey conducts its foreign policy, especially in the post-coup attempt era, the purge, the authoritarian tendencies that have been evident since July 15th. And of course, last but not least, on the issue of borders, we don't know how this political situation in Turkey will affect other political developments vis-à-vis borders, such as the unification talks that are taking place in Cyprus, especially in light of the deeper energy and security cooperation that there is an attempt to take place in the inter-Mediterranean level between Israel, Cyprus, and Greece. Now, to help us untangle this convoluted web in this fast-paced game of regional diplomacy, we're joined here by three distinguished speakers. The first, very quickly, is Dr. Nachman Shai, who is a former IDF spokesman, and he's also the head of the Israel-Germany Bilateral Parliamentarian Group. Dr. Shai, the floor is yours.